you know?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Davis. I'm the Chief Information Officer for the county, and I'm in charge of the IT department. I brought my glasses to make me look a little smarter, but then I realized that's a lot to ask for a pair of glasses, so I'm going to go on without it, but I may put them on shortly. So this is number 37, high-speed wireless broadband. And it all started for us a couple of years ago. We started noticing wants and needs inside the government and out in the community as well. The commissioners were interested in the lack of good high-speed broadband in the rural areas and how expensive it is for some of the other people in the city and county. In the government, we upgraded pretty much our entire infrastructure. It's so much faster now, it enables people to do really good things. And we've got some very innovative people working in the government now. I've been in IT for over 30 years, and this is a really good group. I'm very proud of a lot of people. Smart Cities Initiative, we're pushed to adopt some of that. The further we go in it, it's going to require high-speed connectivity, just like everything. So you see, there's a lot of different things, but it all boils down to we all need high-speed access, we need it at a good price, and we need it everywhere we go in the county. So it's very important moving forward to attract businesses, for students, pretty much for everything going forward. So we went to the folks that helped us with our infrastructure work and got them to check to see where the spots were in the rural areas that didn't have good connections. And they reported back on how much it cost, what everyone was charging a couple of years ago. What that got us to thinking, well, you know, if it made sense for the carriers to pull fiber everywhere in the county, they would have done it by now. So I told them, if we were to do this ourselves, if we didn't have anybody else to count on, give us a design that we could implement and solve all these problems for everyone. So we looked at all the different technologies, and of course everybody would want to have fiber running to their home or to their business location, but it's too expensive, and it's really not feasible for folks to do. So we looked at the alternative technologies that are available to us, and the one that made the most sense and was, I hate to say cheaper when it's $6.8 million, but it was the least expensive, I could say. Microwave point-to-point. You can get it unlicensed or pay to have a certain range where you don't get any interference. It's protected, and we can chop it up with VLANs the way we do on networking. Have a secure area for the police department, fire department, another for the county, and yet another for the community at large. Microwave point-to-point, one of the kind of a drawback for some folks, I guess, it's being point-to-point, it's also a line of sight. So it uses towers, and these towers have to be up above the terrain so they can hit each other with the signals. So it requires, to do the entire county, we were looking at between 20 and 28 different towers. and these towers are 180 feet tall. I know that's aesthetically, it's not nice to look at. We've been looking at them for years and years, and some people are worried about the health aspects of it. I've read plenty of studies both ways. I'm certainly no expert on that, but microwave is safe, appears to be safe. And these things 180 feet tall, the waves are so far up above our heads, you're really not going to get any of the microwave. So we've got quite a few towers that would have to be built on land already owned by the government, so we don't have to acquire land and go to all that trouble. So once we built this out in phase one, 3 phases to this. Phase one, we would build out the point-to-point towers, migrate the government assets onto this licensed loop, and currently we're going through service providers for all these, and we're spending about $180,000 a year just on air cards. Go in police cruisers, people that are out working in the field now. Some of the innovation, guys are using tablets out in the field and can connect up. I don't know if you've seen the public utilities, what they're doing with their water meters now, but they kind of do a phone home thing, and all of that, we could get rid of the monthly fees and do it on our own network. One of the few good things about these towers, we can get revenue from leasing space on them, especially when 5G makes it up here in a couple of years, that they're going to need plenty of towers to put this on, and we can get a revenue stream by leasing out space on them. When we get to phase two, after building all this out, excuse me. All right, when we get to phase two, we can deploy access points around the downtown area, build a Wi-Fi that people can connect to, and as soon as they hit the Wi-Fi, they'll hit a portal that we will design. We can use it to provide information on government services, any emergency services that come up that we need to get word out. This is a great way to do it. Also, local businesses can advertise on this portal. On the Wi-Fi, when the buses are going through town, we can use advertisement, not just web-based, but location-based. Not just on the buses, but when someone's visiting, say they're visiting college, they decide, well, I'd like to grab lunch while I'm here. So they do a search on our portal. We can pick up their coordinates, see where they are, and shoot the replies to them that, well, there's a restaurant here, there's one just around the corner. Whatever you need, it's right here. So it's kind of a smart city kind of thing. It really kind of puts us ahead of the game. The Wi-Fi, even though we've got it just in downtown, we can spread it out. We can make it as big as we want, but we figured the best way to do it is to just deploy it in the downtown area as a test, and then if we need to make it larger, we could certainly do that. So Wi-Fi, and before I get away from Wi-Fi, the bandwidth would have to very much limit the amount of bandwidth we give to connections on Wi-Fi, because we don't want just a handful of people zapping it all and causing problems for everyone else. So in phase one, we're kind of going to eat our own dog food, shake out all the bugs. Phase two, we can bring on advertising, do a little bit more in the community, and that'll take us to phase three. I think phase three is the one that most folks are going to be interested in, because that's when we start using the infrastructure we built out, and we can become a wireless internet service provider, a WISP. Now I know some people, I've already heard from a few folks that, is this really the business the county should be in? And it's not up to me to make that decision. Technology-wise, we can do it though. So if that's the route we want to go, we can start up a WISP, but we'll have to decide on our business model well before we get into this. We'll have to talk over what it is we want to do, how expensive the rates are going to be, how cheap we can make it, can we supplement some. So the options, we can treat it as a utility and keep it in-house. If that's the case, we're probably going to have to create a new department, because running an ISP, day-to-day operations, we've all had trouble with our ISPs. You have to call and get them out there to work on stuff. We'll need a salesperson. There's quite a bit to it. So either we would start a department and let them keep it in-house, or form a public-private partnership with the existing ISP or WISP. I've already had a few people reaching out, companies that are in that business, wanting to see if we would be available to partner with them. So a lot of business model decisions yet to go, but it's not the microwave point-to-point. It's not what we would want to do. If we could do fiber, we would. But if we're going to cover this entire county, this is what we're going to have to use to do it. It's certainly possible, and we can certainly do it. But I know that those towers are a problem for a lot of people. So hopefully we get a chance to do it. If not, we'll go back to the drawing board and try something else. But technology changes so fast. Who knows what's going to be around 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But this can certainly get us through. Now, on the submission, I didn't put in a lot of the revenue streams that we could get, because a lot's going to depend on this business model, and other parts. Out of those $180,000 worth of air cards, we can probably get rid of 90% of them. So out of that 420 grand a year operating, 180 would come off from our air cards. So is that my time?
Yeah, it's time to move into questions. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I am certainly ready if anyone has questions. Yes, sir.
The last part you mentioned, a certain part would come off because of it. I didn't even.
Oh, the air cards. Yeah, right now, like traffic engineering uses, they control their cameras, and the
like the Verizon card.
Yeah, the police in the patrol cars. It gives them. I'm not even sure what the speed is on most of those. But I think they'll go up to 20, right?
Yeah, some of them, it depends on the carrier. So just think about it as a wireless, I wouldn't say adapter because that's actually in your PC. A wireless card that you could, a dongle that you could put into your laptop and get, wireless internet through a wireless carrier. So think Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, they all sell airport cards and offer you a data allowance per month.
That's additional. Thank you. So then to make sure I understood that, you're
Yes.
saying that of this, you're estimating 180,000 would be saved from this.
That's what
in
we're
not
spending on air cards now.
Replacing air cards,
Yes,
got it.
and
Okay.
we
Thank
run
you.
over the network.
Thank you.
annually?
Yes. Yes, sir.
I mean, it makes sense because the carriers are not doing any more build-outs. And instead, they've gone with their telephone providers or their handset providers and added dial-by internet in order to underpin their service, because we have the worst service in the world. You go to Europe and it's ridiculously good. But they now know that you may not be dialing LTE or 3G or 4G or even 5G because they're just not going to spend the money to put those towers up. So you now can dial by internet. And so this makes a lot of sense as far as providing more service to people.
Absolutely, it does. And you know, I've spent a lot of years butting heads with providers, and still, I can see their point, not pulling any more fiber out there and not investing in it, is the return for them is just not there. But we can fill that void. Yes, ma'am.
So I had two questions for you. One, the way I understand it for phase 3, is it possible that this would become like an additional utility provided by the city that could potentially be a revenue stream?
It certainly is, yes.
Okay, and then my other question was, you mentioned that it would be concentrated downtown, and if you wanted to make it larger, you could. Does that dilute the bandwidth?
Well, that's just for the Wi-Fi portion, and we were targeting that for downtown business, to get visitors mainly, and just to burn it in, kind of. We can make it as large as we want, though. But, and we can put as much bandwidth towards it as we want to. This is a very scalable system.
Okay.
We'll buy internet speeds on the back end that it's called a backhaul, and if we get enough subscribers where we're using it all, we'll just buy more.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So first comment, I mean, I agree fiber would probably be ideal, and I know it's expensive. When I looked at the proposal and I saw the price tag, I immediately knew it wasn't fiber. But so 2-3-part question. One, could you tell the room approximately how much it would cost to lay fiber throughout? 2, what would the speeds be of this wireless internet service?
Okay. I can't really give you a speed or tell you how much it would cost for the fiber, because you have to know what the fiber runs are.
Well, I mean for the wireless internet. For the wireless internet. So for the system that you're proposing, the setup, what would the speeds be?
Oh, yeah, speed-wise. We can drop 2 gig to the home right now.
2 gigs per second?
Yes. 2 gigabits per second. It's very fast.
That's pretty fast.
We're not going to sell a lot of 2 gig though. You know, most people don't need that kind of speed.
How's that compare to my cable modem?
So your cable is, it depends on the tier, but like right now, and recently charges went up to 50 for most people, 50 megs per second.
He's talking about 2 gigs.
He's talking about
2
2
gigs.
gigs. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why like that's really
Now
fast.
yeah, and that's what we could offer businesses. Most homes are going to take 50 meg or less.
Yeah, I mean 50 meg is good. I mean,
It's
I remember when
certainly-
high speed was considered 3 to 12 megs per second. So like 50, 100.
Well, I remember 56K being fast.
Yeah. You were probably, you were on a dollar modem.
I'm sorry, I'm older than you.
No, I remember that. We actually dialed in the store using a dollar modem. You could hear it in the background, and you could probably go make lunch and come back and you
Right.
So I understand.
Yeah, I even used the coupler that you had to stick the phone receiver in the box.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's still pretty fast. I mean, I'm guessing with that line of sight issue, there could be other issues with connectivity, but that's pretty good. I mean, I know of municipal broadband services like in Chattanooga. Have you guys looked at Chattanooga?
Yeah.
I mean,
Great example.
they implemented a 1 gig service and it instantly, I mean, it was fiber, but instantly started attracting more businesses. Like they could be the Silicon Valley of
Everybody laughed at it.
Yep.
Spending that much money.
Yep, but it was a great investment.
Yeah.
So I like the idea. What's my other question? Oh, do you know the frequency?
It would be in the sub-6 band.
Oh, so the penetrate building's pretty good. too.
It should, yes.
Okay.
Quick point, microwave, before they went to fiber is what AT&T long lines used after they replaced all the coax routes. They went from lead cable, copper cable, to coax, and then point-to-point microwave, and then they went from that to fiber optics. And so it's a very developed technology.
It is. It's been around.
In fact, it's an old technology.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the microwaves they're radio frequencies, that's
Yeah.
all that. Yes, sir.
Well, Tracy did good because he asked 3 of my questions. So
Okay.
what I'm gonna ask is, will the rural areas in the county be able to receive the same type of service?
They would, yes, yes.
Throughout the entire
Uh-huh.
county?
Yes.
Okay, and you said at the beginning, you said that this was the lowest price for this system. So I take it that you did more research and you had higher prices.
Yeah, we, looking at the different technologies, this is the one that made the most sense. And the 6.8, that's about as sharp as that pencil can get, I'm afraid.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. So this would be the lowest, so there's no alternate if we were to ask for an alternate.
No, there's really not another technology that we could implement for this. This is.
Or
Katrina?
can you scale it, so tackle phase 1 downtown? Is it too late to run fiber under Clayton Street? Can we do that next week? As a test.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's
Yeah.
an opportunity.
Well, luckily, in the downtown area and through a good bit of Athens, there's a good fiber map there, so. It's just these rural areas that are so hard to get. That's right.
I think Carl's hand was up first.
Oh, you go.
When you said rural areas are gonna get the same service, does that mean those same speeds and that same capacity?
No matter where you are.
Good, because I will sign up like yesterday. Because I pay a small fortune for my current, and I could donate a lot more and buy a lot more if I didn't have to pay that damn bill for my internet.
I had 2 questions. One was trying to fly out of my head. One of them was, I know it's probably gonna be impossible to ask, but we're gonna get asked it. If this eventually does get rolled out to the citizenry as a utility,
Mhm.
do you have any idea what kind of a price point you'd be looking to provide standard service to a citizen?
I really don't right now. A lot's gonna depend on that business model, whatever the powers that be decide on.
Okay, and the second question was, that popped back in there, with 5G coming and just, I don't know what I'm talking about, but based on the little that I've read, it is going to be an exponential increase
It is.
in need for bandwidth.
Mhm.
You've said that's scalable. Will it be scalable to that sort of a system, where it's not obsolete in just a few years?
Right, yes.
Okay.
Yes, as we max out our bandwidth that we've purchased, we just buy more. The equipment right now it's very scalable. It can just keep handling more and more. This year, the towers are good for, I think it was like 30 years or something. And this year is good for about 5 years, switches, routers kind of thing. After that, you want something else.
Does the $426,000 of annual operating expenses take phase 3 into consideration? Or is the idea that there'd be a business model created around phase 3 that would create the department, but then the revenue would offset that?
Right, that 426,000, a lot of that is service contracts, keeping the gear under maintenance, that sort of thing.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so whatever business model we decide on, that's gonna change the game. Yes, sir.
You and I talked before we got started about the state legislature is going to allow, or considering allowing electrical cooperatives to offer broadband over their existing electric lines. Can you speak to that?
It's kind of really out of my ballpark, but yeah, they've opened it up for EMCs to since they've already got power going out to all these locations in rural areas, they're giving them the option of becoming service providers, internet service providers. And they'll run it over their existing infrastructure. And we'll, see how it goes. I know, as we were talking about, rural power can be kind of iffy sometimes.
Walton EMC has been incredibly reliable. Ours goes out on Walton EMC way less than it did on GP.
I keep hearing that Walton EMC does such a good
We've
job.
been Walton EMC customers since 1948, so let me tell you.
So, John, are you saying that Georgia Power could be an internet service provider or
No,
something?
Walton EMC.
Just Walton EMC?
Well, the electrical cooperatives is what they're considering at the state legislature.
Okay.
So Jackson EMC would be in this area, rail.
Okay.
It provides services in rural areas, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, matter of fact, there was an article in the AJC just this past week, I think. Yeah.
They've been able to do that for about 5 years. That technology's been
Mhm.
for about 5 years. But I don't know anybody who's implemented it, frankly.
Yeah, I've read about it, but I've not
Yeah.
seen it. Anyone else? Yes.
You indicated that in the underserved areas, there would be a fee for service, I assume, is that correct? And it would also produce a revenue stream. Do you have any idea roughly what we're talking about?
Yeah, again, it's really gonna depend on what business model we use and how we wanna supplement, some systems. And if we don't take on a partner, if we treat it like it's a utility, that's gonna give us much more leverage to be flexible and that sort of thing. I think if we take on a partner, it's gonna.
So there could be a revenue stream.
Absolutely.
But the fee for service might also be subsidized.
Yes, once it's decided on what the criteria is. But, yeah, if we treat it as a utility, it gives us so much more flexibility.
Quick question, do you know of any communities that have this same setup?
Using the microwave?
Yeah, this for municipal broadband.
There's a couple of governments that, here in Georgia, that are using this technology in-house, that they had planned to take it out to the community and for whatever reason didn't.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a list of.
Tracy, can you submit that question on email?
Yeah, I can get back to you.
List for us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Certainly, thank you. Thank you, everyone.